Hello, I'm Pastor Jonathan, and I just want to take a moment. I want to share with you something. I've been in correspondence with Charisma Media, and I've got a fellow in there I talked to. I'm going to keep his name confidential as we go through this, but I have been talking to him on a few occasions regarding the translation, and he has given me some very important information that you're going to want to know about if you are interested in the future of the modern English version of the Bible. Now, forgive my attire. This is my work attire. This is, I'm bi-vocational pastor, and so I also own a business, and this is my business attire. So please forgive that. But I received the email when I was actually talking to a customer, and I was so excited. I finished talking to the customer. Of course, you don't want to be a jerk, and then got in my truck. And anyway, I read the email and some very exciting news. Now there was some talk of MEV or the Charisma House not finishing or not seeing the MEV go into the future. They wouldn't do the revision, that they didn't sell enough, and that money was the big reason why they wouldn't move forward with the translation, that the revision may never take place. And that, of course, the translation might fall by the wayside like many do, which was a big concern for me. I bought the translation for my son. I bought it for my wife. We use it at our church. I was really excited to have this translation of the Bible. It's my normal using translation. And so now for those who don't know what the modern English version translation of the Bible is, it's a translation based off the Textus Receptus and the Masoretic text. Just to kind of give you a brief history, we believe that God has preserved His Word over time, and through the traditional text, a text traditionally used by the church, by God's people, and we were thrilled. I was thrilled to find out that textual tradition was brought into the modern vernacular through the MEV, and so the that is something that some of us find to be very important as we hold to that stance. And the MEV translation for me was an answer to prayer, and it also just it fulfilled that need in our ministry. And so when I heard the talks that the MEV wouldn't move forward, there was talks that the translation would halt, or that they wouldn't do the revision, that it wasn't going anywhere. I was concerned, so I called my connection in the Charisma Media, and I said, "Is this stuff true? What's going on?" And I'll kind of share with them some of my concerns and why. And he said, "I don't know where you heard that," and kind of talked to him for a while, and he gave me some really good information that you're going to know about, and so I want to share that with you now. And if you would. If you want to find out further information about where the MEV is headed, you can follow the Modern English Version Bible Facebook page, which this video is on or shared from, and like it, follow it, and as I hear from Charisma Media, I will post that information online. I will share that information with you, especially if you're interested in the translation. So I want to share with you some of those updates today about what they told me in regards to the future of the translation. And to be honest with you, I am pumped. I am excited about this. I'm excited about the modern English version of the translation of the Bible. I'm excited about where it's taking us. I'm excited that it's out. Like I said, for me, it was an answer to prayer. It's my normal using Bible now, and I'm so excited about some of the responses I got. So I want to share with you that. I got the email in front of me. I'm going to share these not in the order I got them, but I'm going to share them all with you. And so you're going to stay tuned with this. Now, in the future, again, if you want to know about where we're at for the translation of the Bible, follow the group, and I will post updates as soon as I get them, or as soon as I can, on there. And if you have questions you'd like to present, you can message me on that group, or you can you can message me through that group the questions, and if I get enough of the questions that I can't answer, or a question that I don't know, then I will talk to the publisher myself and try to get that question answered, and do a questions area of the Facebook page where we do common questions asked and the answers to those questions. And I really think some of you, when I read some of this, you all will be excited, because some of the concerns that you've all raised, not just about the modern English version, but about other versions, will be answered in this. So it says, hi Jonathan, hi again Jonathan. I've got some firm feedback from our executive staff regarding the MEV Bible and its future. Here are some specific responses to your concerns. The first I'm going to read, he says, is the MEV is definitely staying in print via Charisma Media as the publisher. We are committed to the value of this translation and its place in the Christian community. That is awesome. Now, one thing when I did discuss this with them, when I was on the phone with them, they told me that Charisma Media was in this for the long haul. They did not believe this translation was going to die out and fall by the wayside. They said they understood that translations take some time to gain traction. And I can understand that. And his example to me was the NIV. When the NIV came out, it wasn't well embraced by the Christian community, but now it has a firm standing in it, even though I wouldn't use it. And I personally, I just wouldn't use it. But he felt like the MEV would do the same thing, that early on it would have a slow kind of gaining traction time, but once it gained traction, once it kind of became well established in the Christian community, it would stay there for years to come. And he said that the publisher was committed to having it in there for years to come. Very exciting. That brought a lot of reassurance to my heart, knowing that my son and my church and my congregation can be able to buy this Bible for years to come. It wasn't something I was going to have to go to a different translation just because this one was no longer in print. So definitely exciting for those of you who were concerned, and as well as myself, that the publication would go out of print. It looks like that is not the case. It's definitely staying in print. The next one, he says, we're still looking at the updated release being targeted for early 2019. Now, not a whole lot of firm. They thought it might come out to early 2018. That didn't happen, but he said they're still looking at it happening at early 2019, which is still exciting that the process is still going, and that's exciting. Now, before I read the last thing that he told me, I saw a group that made a video about if the New King James was going to become a fixed translation, something that was going to be fixed within the hearts and fixed. Not changed. It was going to be established and done, settled and finished. And that way for 10, 15, 20 years down the road, the translation would stay the same. And whenever one of the administrators of the group contacted Nelson or HarperCollins, whoever he contacted, they said that it would stay the same for years to come, but they didn't make a commitment to make it fixed. And that means that down the road, regardless if it's 10, 15 years, it one day will change. Well, I told the person I was talking to at Charisma Media that was a concern amongst Textus Receptus Masoretic text advocates, that we saw that there was a dilemma amongst some of the modern versions in the fact that they changed every few years, and that congregations had a fluid text and they didn't know what it would say. And even now, like I said before, their text is about to change tremendously. And I've talked about, we have good stability of being a Textus Receptus Masoretic text. There's a lot of stability there. We believe it was preserved by God. We believe that it's a trustworthy text. It's a text that we can speak and preach from with integrity and trusting that what we're preaching is legitimate. Well, without further ado, let me read with some commentary about this. Before I say that, so the point was the publisher of the New King James did not guarantee a fixed translation. Now, the New King James has not changed much over the years that it's existed, for the 30 plus years it's been around. It hasn't changed much, but they did not guarantee that it would be fixed. Well, the MEV, I want to read it straight from here, the MEV is a fixed, quote unquote, fixed translation. And then he goes on to explain what that means. After the corrections are finalized, there are no plans to retranslate or modernize the MEV text. So let me read that again. The MEV is a fixed translation. Once these are done, they're done, and the translation will stay solid. After the corrections are finalized, so they might go through a couple, I assume, the corrections, I don't know if they mean the corrections this time and then it'll be fixed with the revision, or they'll go through the revision, let it go out through one more cycle, and then they'll do a final revision. I don't know about that. But the goal, that's the important thing, the goal of the MEV translation is to become, or will be, a fixed translation. That's the goal. And that's something that's awesome. I mean, that's something that we can work with. And it says, after the corrections are finalized, There are no plans to retranslate, I'm assuming, any of the verses or anything. So once they're done, or modernize the MEV text. So they're not going to be in constant flux trying to bring the text up to date. Once it's done, it's done. And it's a modern translation. It'll be modern for at least the next number of years. Probably at least be some of the stuff, the New King James, that made it out, a little bit outdated, or the language outdated, wasn't the fact that it used the language of the 80s and we didn't bring it over into the 90s or 2000s or 2010s up to 2018. It's the fact that they took some of the language of the King James and brought it into the 1980s. So a lot of the language hasn't really changed much since the 80s. And if we're in 2018, this language is probably not going to change. Probably at least it's probably going to be a solid translation for a good 30, 40 years, if not longer. And so that is exciting. And I just wanted to share that with you. I'm a bit excited. And I wanted you to know that that's what their plans are. Their plans are to have a fixed translation that will stay the same. It's a translation that's going to stay in print and usable in the Christian community for years to come. They have no plans on throwing it to the side or giving up on it. And looks like the revised edition is still going to come out 2019. Huge, I would call it developments, but I'm not a news network. I'm not a news anchor, but I kind of feel like that right now. I know some of you have been thought about this and concerned about this. So again, exciting stuff. I'm excited to keep promoting the MEV in our church. If you would, go to our Facebook page, Modern English Version Bible, and hit the like, hit the follow along, and I'll keep posting updates as I hear from my correspondent with Charisma Media. Have a great day and God bless.